it comes from a story. You know, it's
Yeah.
music is one of the greatest examples of story, and it's like fuck being Dave Grohl in front of 100,000 people. You
Yeah.
think that's all for the sound of the song,
Yeah.
or this just so he can share that perfect riff? No, man, it's because that 100,000 people are completely blowing his mind,
Yeah.
and he's getting to fill them with his passion. That's a crazy idea to experience. You know? Yeah.
I guess
Like
that's why people get so emotional with standing ovations and stuff like that.
absolutely.
Right? It's just like all those people are paying that attention to you, and it's like, how do you not get overwhelmed by that?
And collective energy and collective groupthink.
Yep.
When you are on and when you are tapping in to the minds of a 1,000 people, 500 people, 100,000 at Wembley Stadium because you're a rock star.
Yeah.
When you can connect all those minds at the same time, at that same moment, and focus it on almost one solitary ideal, that is mind-blowing to me.
Yeah.
That we can actually do that with humans. You know? And they can do it negatively too, of course, but I mean in the positive sense. In the real human existence side of things.
I'm a huge believer in, that we're collectively creating our universe. So, and that means everything in it and all the energies. And so the more positivity and the more, education, the more like-mindedness that we can be a part of, I think it just helps everyone and everything. It helps increase awareness and helps pick people's moods up. It helps increase positivity. So the more of that is, the more of that there is, and I'm a firm believer that there's an awakening going on that has a lot to do with that. The people that aren't necessarily aware yet or paying attention to it, they're going through tough times because the people that are aware of it are stirring something in the universe.
Yes.
Yeah. So
one of the most spiritually awakened places I've ever been. I've never been to India, obviously, so I can't really speak on behalf of them, but I know that they have a long tradition. But in the Western world is Finland, oddly enough.
Really?
Finland is incredibly progressive in their understanding as a whole of like a metaphysical, energetic culture. And I remember being almost in the border with a psychic, and I can remember there's like 5 feet of snow. It was like such a serene experience meeting with this, almost nymph-like fairy existence psychic in eastern Finland. But that's what she was talking about, and she was very aware of it. And it was very common when I spent time in Finland for people to be in that mindset. And the fact that they are sort of stuck between a couple different worlds that they don't really interact with. But, there is something to it. And how that's going to dictate the next 100 years, I really don't know. But I think it's going to be much, much different than the last 100 years.
Yeah. I agree 100%. I agree.
Yeah. I think it is one of the few social benefits of technology.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah.
Technology turns us off, but it's also taken those few and turned them into many.
Yeah, 100%. If you haven't, and this is for you guys on the webinar as well. Kind of forget we're doing one almost. Terrence McKenna and Jason Silva are two guys that are, and I'll probably end up posting some stuff, some videos from those guys. But just to hear them talk about the interconnectivity and Silva talks about how our technology is an extension of ourselves, and to listen to those guys just kind of blows your mind, and it gives you a different perception of what may very well be going on, and it's mind blowing. It's such a phenomenal thing to think about things in that respect versus what we talked about before. The old it was born by an accident, a couple of pieces of dust came together, and life's got no meaning, and then I'm going to die.
That's exactly
Holy
right.
fuck.
Like,
Talk
there's
about depressing.
absolutely no reason for us to be here, but yet every single human on the planet is ingrained with a survival instinct.
Yeah.
Like, the same people that are like, it's purely biology. You know?
Yeah.
They're the same ones that go, yeah, but you have a survival instinct. It's really strange. So, what's the point? Right? Like, just step back logically and be like, yeah, I'm just basically a meat suit.
Yeah.
But, man, I want to help other people. I want to explore at all costs, I want to survive.
Yeah.
I don't know what any of that, how that even works. Like, just, it doesn't make any sense.
No, there's
that I
no,
could be
doesn't add up.
a mechanical meat suit with all those other things going on.
No.
You know, I used to think success was a representation of achievement on a scale. So, like, if I was ranked number one in the world, I was successful.
Yep.
And when sports stopped for me, it really messed me up because I had no way to determine my worth anymore. And for about 4 or 5 years, I went through some really troubling times where I didn't know who I was. I didn't have an identity. I just didn't know because my entire life until I retired at 30 was 100% measured on a scale of 1 through 10.
Yeah.
And
how long did the trying time last for, Derek?
5, 6 years.
Really? Yeah.
I will honestly say, and I'm not completely out of it, that it's only been in the last year to 18 months that I've started to understand that success is so much more vast than a one-dimensional system. Like, I used to think it was like, because I tried to take that system and put it into coaching and then put it into business. And like, if I'm the number one guy that people are listening to on the internet, I must be successful. If I'm the number one guy that is teaching lectures for Poliquin, then I'm the best coach. I must be the most important.
Yeah.
Well, it doesn't work that way, right? Because even if I was the most successful lecturer, other things get involved, like business and politics, etc. And so if they remove you, like in my situation where I leave that company, well, the company's still going to exist. They're still going to teach good lectures, and they're still going to pass information.
Yeah.
So, okay, that didn't really work. So you have to step back, and you're like, okay, so what is success?
Yeah.
Well, in my opinion, you have to deem what you need to be happy. And that was tough for me because happiness was kicking ass.
That's huge, man.
You know, like for me, I was most happy. Like my old teammate used to say, you're a misplaced time period. You would have been most suited and happy swinging an axe and living day to day.
Yeah.
You know, and not an axe in the woods, an axe in battlefield. You would have been best suited with that. That's your mindset. You're like, it's win or lose every day for you. And you would have been best. You were a misplaced Viking. You should have been battling every day. And when you lose, you're done, right?
Yeah.
And you know,
there's no coming back in this world, anyways.
Back, right? So it's like every day when you go to sleep and not get put to sleep, you have won, right? And so that's how I used to live my life. And it was like if I wasn't winning every day, for me, when I realized that success and happiness had to be much more connected, I had to step back and be like, what do I need to be happy? And for me, happiness now is much more. It's relationships, it's interactions with people, it's sharing information, and doing so in a way that gives me enough of a, because society is what it is, an income to be able to continue to have those things.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, people are like, yeah, but money's not happiness. Yeah, but live without it. You know, it gets pretty tough.
Yeah, for sure.
And so you always have to keep one hand in social reality. You know, it's, I don't care how spiritual you are, you know, to use your vessel to go make some gold, life's going to be pretty tough.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So there has to always be that reality. And so for me, success now is being able to do what I do, surrounded by the people that I want in my life, in a way in which I can continue to do it comfortably. Like I don't need to be the experience at the end of the road,
Yeah.
and have been able to do something that's been able to fund that experience the whole time, So for me, success is more about that than it is ever been in my life before.
I think it takes some experience to realize that. Like, I was in my 20s. It was all about work and money, and having the most things, and it had nothing to do with relationships and people, and
Zero. Yeah.
and as you get older, or as I've gotten older, it's like, wait a minute, the toys aren't what matter. I mean, yeah, they make life comfortable, and like you said,
Yep.
you do need a certain degree of money to have, to be able to live somewhat comfortably. But I'd trade all the hours that I busted my ass alone to be able to have that time back for relationships.
It's funny how that is, right?
Yeah.
And it's, 'cause I was talking to somebody about this recently. She's a good friend of mine, and I said to her, I just realized that I moved to Rhode Island pursuing work, career, and success, and that's why I say it hasn't been that long.
Yeah.
But I've been here for 12 months. No one has been in my apartment but me, right? And then that's the reality, because I realized that I was repeating the same habits that I've always been struggling with, and that is, did I win today? And if so, what was my win? Okay, I gave a kick-ass presentation. People are recognizing me, and blah 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 blah.
Yeah.
And then I come home to my nice apartment, nice TV,
by yourself.
Just be like, fuck, I'm back in the same routine. What am I doing? What am I doing? Like, how did I get here? How did I become again obsessed with swinging the axe?
Yeah.
I realized that what I want to do is get away from, if I give you this information, it comes with this baggage.
Yeah.
If I want to just be a conduit of information, and as I learn more, I'll share more. The one gift I've always had is being able to take huge amounts of information and making it so that the layman can understand it.
Yeah.
Why? I don't know. It's how I was raised. It's an aptitude. I get it. I don't know why I can do it. I can do it. And that's what I tell people. It's like,
it's so important.
And it's like, from this point forward, all I want to do is try to relate my passion to people, which when I'm not lecturing, I have learned to keep my mouth shut a lot longer in interactions. I realized that if I wanted to continue to speak and lecture, I needed to step way back and understand that the only way I could continue is to allow other people to influence me more and to have a greater impact. Reading, listening, watching, and just simply trying to understand other people's points of view a lot clearer, so that if the moment arose where someone was like, well, what do you think of this? And I had never stopped to listen to the answer, which I found happened a few times.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. And so now when people are like, man, you always have an answer, I'm like, no, I don't always have an answer. Someone else
did.
It.
Yeah.
That's what you don't understand. It's like, someone else had the answer. I just stopped to listen. No association with a change of self. Like, you can achieve a lot of goals without changing anything about who you are, because goals a lot of times exist in a very physical external world.
Yeah.
When you're talking about changing yourself, people are like, well, you got to set some goals. Okay, so what do you want to change about yourself? I want to lose weight. Okay, this is what our goals are going to be. And they do it. But what people don't realize is that person didn't change at all.
Yeah.
It was one more task that their A-type hyper-stress personality could pull off.
Yeah.
And you know what? When they get up tomorrow, they're no more healthier. They're still stressed, miserable, fucking A-typers.
Yeah.
I was the same way, right? Everything was that way. So for me, when I started to think, how do I change self? I had to do, because I realized that it was social perception of personality was a big limiting factor in my ability to make change. So for me, I realized that I've always been an extremely spiritual, metaphysical personality.
Yeah.
But I hid it so well through my 20s and 30s because I didn't think people wanted to hear about that, or I thought that people would judge me too quickly if they knew that I believed in some of these very metaphysical ideals. And I realized, like, for example, that was holding me back.
Yeah.
So I wasn't able to make changes because of the social manifestation of what people would think of me or how I would be, judged.
Yeah.
So I think that you have to address that right away. You have to make sure that if you want to make change in yourself, you have to have almost like a house cleaning of what you really believe, what are your core fundamentals, and whether or not that you're not making changes because you're afraid of how society will judge you.
Yeah.
So if you're a really religious person, but you're not surrounded by religious people, so for example,
yeah,
you may not ever express your devout belief in religion because of social peer pressure.
Fear of judgment.
Judgment.
Yeah.
That's going to really hold you back into decisions and changes that you make.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
Think of the men and women that struggle with homosexuality. Okay, it's the same thing. They never get to. And thank God it's changing nowadays. But they would never get to express who they really are as individuals because the fundamental core of who they are is in, right?
Yeah.
And they can't be open with that in a societal way that allows them to express who they really are.
Absolutely.
So what happens with that type of thinking is you become a complete hindrance to yourself because you can't make change because you can't be who you really are.
Yeah.
And if you can't be who you really are, you will always be coming up short in what you're trying to do.
Absolutely.
And so for me, I had to step back and accept the fact that I'm extremely spiritual. Accept the fact that, and it sounds weird to say it, accept it, but it is. Accept the fact that I was extremely spiritual and that not everybody's going to understand that. Accept the fact that I have an extremely aggressive, dominant personality in terms of goal setting, and that not everybody's going to accept my mindset when it comes to those sorts of things, and that's okay too.
Yeah.
And accept the fact that even on your best day, you're probably going to have fallen on your ass somewhere along the way that day. And when I realized those things, for me, that's when being able to make changes started to happen, because it was never a fear of failure. Like, I'd never even gotten far enough along to fail. I was shit. I didn't know what the outcome was going to be. I was too afraid of how people were going to judge what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I never got along far enough to change enough to make enough progression to either have an outcome of failure or success. I didn't have to keep shortcutting or preventing my personal growth for the sake of success elsewhere.
Yeah.
Like when you can line up your own personal growth and success, fuck, man, I think you're living a pretty good life at that point.
Yeah.
I'm still on that path myself.
Yeah, I hear you. And I think the important thing for people to remember is just to take that step. Like, I think so many people feel stuck in a job or stuck in a body that they don't want, and it's like, I know a few close to me that they have to have everything mapped out. They have to have business plans, and it's like, just fucking take a step. Like,
Yep.
do you have something that you do that you enjoy or that makes you happy? Yes. Do that. Start with that one thing, and you don't know where that's going to lead. Like, back to the start of your story, you don't know where moving out of that small town is going to take you.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you take the one step, if you join a class that you enjoy, who knows who you're going to meet there, and who knows where that's going to lead to.
Absolutely.
But you got to take a step. Like, if you don't take
Yeah.
a step, like, yeah, you're right. You don't know what to do, and you're never going to accomplish it.
Right. You know, like a perfect example, someone wants to be an actor, right? They would love to go to Hollywood and star in a big budget film. But because the idea of going to Hollywood is so fucking gigantic that it prevents them from taking a Monday night acting class in Wichita, Kansas.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
If you want to draw comic books, you don't have to quit your job tomorrow to draw comic books. But you better start working on illustrations in your free time.
Agreed.
And getting connected with what it is that is what you want to do.
Yeah, with your passion, and listen to your passion.
Yeah, you take a small step. Take some steps, and just start getting involved. You know.
There's nothing wrong with having your eye on the big picture, but like, you're never gonna get there if you don't start.
You gotta move.
Those small things.
You have to move in that direction. That unless you're training for sport, then you're training for longevity.
Yep.
And if you're training for longevity, then it's about maintaining the strongest body as long as possible. And
Good.
If I was to give two movements, one in the weight room would be, like some people like to say, snatch, grip, deadlift. I'm a bigger believer, and I think it's a snatch, grip, high pull. It sounds weird to say that, but I think you have to maintain some speed and athleticism in your movements, but still get the benefit of a movement like the snatch, grip, dead.
Nice.
And two, the ability to sprint. Now that's going to change with age. You'll get tighter and slower and all of those things.
As are the snatch, grip, high pulls.
Right?
You won't be going quite as heavy, probably.
You won't be quite as heavy, but if you can maintain the ability to move for as long as possible. I think for sure that if you're trying to pursue something, legitimately pursue it, you've got to get some people in your life that are either already doing it or believe that it's a good idea.
Yeah.
It works out a lot, but you want to learn how to Olympic lift, something very simple. If you really want to do it, you're going to have to bring people into your world that also already do it so that you can create a collective. And it'll start to get you moving in that direction as a part of something more. If you're really out of shape or very unhealthy in life, you got to start interacting with people more than just during the 1 hour that you spend in a boot camp that understand what it takes to be successful there.
Yeah.
Because you have to learn. If you knew how to do it, you would be doing it. So you have to bring people into your life that know how to do it.
Yeah.
You know, you need their experience. Nutritionally, I think that people, and myself included, it's a big thing that I've had to start to do as I've gotten older, and habits have to be broken.
Yeah.
For me, change is being made as we speak with some things nutritionally, is you really need to get back into the habit of, can you identify its origin, right? And paleo this, paleo, it's not that complicated.
Yeah.
Rice is rice, right?
Yeah.
And it looks like a piece of rice. Yes. Puffed wheat or puffed rice in a chocolate bar, that's not rice.
No.
We know rice is in there, but it's not rice. So when it's on your plate, can you look at it and go, that's rice?
Yeah.
That's broccoli. That's potato. Not something that it was turned into.
Yeah.
You know? And
Yeah.
if people just did that, it's amazing how much more carbohydrates or this and that people can eat and not have an issue.
Yeah.
You know, like
Much simpler way of looking at things.
yeah, it's like eat a grape, don't drink grape juice. You know, it's be able to look at it and be like, you came directly from the source. And a steak we know is a cow, right?
Yeah.
It's a hamburger. It's different. It's like that actual edible hamburger, not meat. So I always talk about that. Like, if you just simply, when you put it on your plate, if you can identify it from its origin, you're doing real well.
Yeah.
With stress and emotional and that type of stuff, you know what?
Because so many people are overstressed, and like it's the type A's, right? And it's our society. It's go, and if I can't go anymore, I'm still gonna go.
Yeah, we have a tendency, in my opinion, to gravitate towards exercise that just encompasses what our personality is already good at. So if I'm a high 8 touch weights and slam stuff and do things, but the reality is we may only just continue to exhaust the system that we're already overexhausting.
Absolutely.
And so what I tell people is identify your personality type or have someone help you with that. And yes, you need that to appease the beast in your life, but if you don't do the opposing patterns, you'll never actually start to use exercise as a stress release.
Yeah.
It will only continue to trigger the triggers that are exhausted. So for me,
it's that yin and yang, right?
It is. It really is. And like for me, I know, like I was the worst example. I started doing martial arts to appease, like in my mind, I was like, I'm going to start training again in martial arts to balance out my life.
That's your yin. Your yin exercise.
I know. What do? I take Krav Maga, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, combination, and mixed martial arts. So the next thing I know, I'm getting punched in the face. I'm getting hit with a stick. Someone's trying to shoot me with a gun that I'm defending and just blasting in the face with the balls. There was nothing relaxing about that.
No yin there.
The most relaxing part was none. Because even when you're getting kicked in the nuts on defense, like if you're just a shield dump for that day, it was brutal, right?
Yeah.
Or getting choked out or whatever was happening. And I realized, okay, that is not yin. So
no.
you have to, I did that because I wanted more of what it gave me.
Yeah.
Aggressive release of energy. That wasn't helping me relax at all. I needed to go the other direction. I need to do yoga and meditation and Pilates. I need to go for a run.
Yeah.
Even if I'm running a fucking 14-minute mile, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That to me brings a sense of calm to my center. You know?
Yeah.
I'm not out running trying to run a marathon when I run. I'm out running to try to completely become inside myself on a different level.
Yeah.
You know?
Clear your mind.
I'm a terrible runner, right?
Yeah.
I'm a 260-pound guy that was a power cleaner and a back squatter. So if I run, it's not going to be fast. It's not going to be pounding. It's all about clarity of my mind.
Yeah.
The second thing that you have to do is you have to accept the fact that everything is a process. If someone had taken me at 18 and been like, hey, you're going to break the Canadian national record, but it's going to take these surgeries, you're going to spend this time, and and just drop out.
Yeah. Overwhelmed.
There is no way.
Overwhelmed.
There's no, right?
Yeah.
But it's funny because now I look back and I'm like, it wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Well, because you're through it. You're on the other side of it.
Yeah.
Like only once you're through it can you look back and be like, I could do that again.
That's exactly it. You know. And so when I tell people, I'm like, you got to surround yourself with people that know how to do it. You then yourself have to think in terms of much more smaller, manageable attempts at it. The third, and I think this is key in life, to me anyway, is it doesn't matter if you're an athlete or a non-athlete. It doesn't matter what you are equating this to. As great as your best day is, and as bad as your worst day was, at whatever you're trying to achieve, they still do not represent your ability. And people are like, oh, yeah, but I did this one time. Is that it? You did it one time. And that's fantastic. That shows your potential, for sure.
Yeah.
But you also really did this bad one time.
Yeah.
You really sucked. But that doesn't show who you are.
No.
That just shows what is capable when all things go wrong.
Yeah.
And the goal is what is your middle? What is your average? As a person, as an athlete, as a business person, your goal over time is to simply bring your average day up.
Yeah.
Never dwell on that day where it all went wrong, and do not over-celebrate that day that was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's just how life is. And it's like when you look at world champions and you look at Olympic gold medalists, predictor, the majority of gold medals are not the person's personal best.
Yeah.
But the person that wins the most typically has the highest consistent average.
Yeah.
And that's what they work to bring up. Their average day is better than most people's good day.
Yeah.
That's it. Like Serena Williams, when she plays tennis, her average is just very high.
Yeah.
She's had moments of greatness, and she's also lost.
Yeah.
But it's like her average is high. And if you can do that, that's where I think people have the most success. And it allows yourself some leeway, some mental release. When shit goes awry, you don't overwhelm yourself with it.
Don't dwell.
It really is. It's about bringing up your average. Bring it up. When you're seeking clarity or advice, and it sounds weird to say this, but because I know we all do it to some degree, but when you are trying to make a change or you're trying to improve your level of understanding, listen to everybody, follow no one. I'm a big believer in that, and trust me, there's been times in my life where I followed as an athlete, where I put the intent of the goal ahead of my own personal belief system, because I had to do work. I had to be the guy pulling the lever in the factory, and there's times for that. But when it comes to making change or growth or understanding, the moment that you start to turn off for the sake of an individual, that are all speaking the same thing, you automatically start to isolate your knowledge. And sometimes that's okay, because sometimes that happens, but try not to make it lifelong. So if you are out there trying to make changes, listen to everyone, follow no one.
Yeah.
Because what that allows you to do is to make decisions and choices based off the collective, not based off of an isolative mentality.
Yeah.
Like, I had someone say to me one time, they're like, one of the best things that comes out of your lecture, and when they said it to me at first, I was sort of offended. Not offended like, how dare you, but like, maybe I suck. But what they said was, one of the most interesting things about the last 5 days is you left me with more questions than answers.
Huh.
And I was like, what? I didn't do my job.
Yeah.
And then a couple of years later, I was like, abso-fucking-lutely. Wait, holy shit, this world is a big one.
Yeah.
And there is no way that one person can answer all my questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when I realized that, I'm a conduit of information, a medium of information in my field, but at For some people, I will be the icing on the cake for where they're at in their life at that moment. And for hopefully the majority, I will be the key in the ignition that makes them want to seek out a whole bunch more.
Yeah, it just opened the door.
Yeah, like people are like, hey, now that you're away from this company or unassociated with that person, should they still go listen to those people? Yes. Right? Yeah. That you should. Because they may provide you with an answer that you need different. Yes, a lot of them will.
Yeah.
But what you have to look at is where did we agree and where do all these different people agree? And that's probably where the really good information lies.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think it allows people different perspectives and then ultimately to follow their heart. Right?
That's exactly it. We're always going to gravitate towards our own personalities.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm going to gravitate, even though I was never a power lifter, I'm going to gravitate to something a guy like Jim Wendler says, because he has a relatable personality when he writes. And when I've met him, so I can vouch for his personality in real life, or Dave Tate in real life. When you sit and you're not on the clock, it's just guys talking.
Yeah,
you know what? Sure enough, how they perceive the industry, I gravitated towards.
Yeah.
And so I'm always going to lean, if I'm not aware of myself, I'm always going to lean towards guys like that and how they see it.
Absolutely.
Because it's because I see it the same way.
Sure.
So if they're like, cut the bullshit, it's this way, I'll be like, yeah.
Fucking right.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, I've never taken a Paul Check seminar, for example. Right?
Yeah.
Because I'm not a Paul Check type of guy on a fundamental level. But do I watch his stuff on YouTube when no one's around? I watch it all.
That'll be our secret.
I'll be sitting there, I'll be like, wonder, I remember watching him talk about Laird Hamilton, the big wave surfer.
Yeah.
And how Laird was like literally almost a carnivore in his diet, and, blah, blah, blah. It was fascinating to me.
Yeah.
It was fascinating. Like that, I was like, that information is invaluable.
Yeah.
But I'll never be that type of person in my own life.
Yeah.
It's just that his energy doesn't resonate perfectly with mine. People need to be a little more careful on the sources of information that they're investing in. Not that there's some that are good or bad, it's per se, but you always have to know what the corporate structure is.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, you just have to know. And just don't go into things blindly. And when you leave something, a lot of times we have a tendency to leave a moment and be so fired up that we want to denounce everything that we'd learned and only focus on what is new.
Sure.
And if I would give one piece of advice, especially in this industry, is absolutely get excited about that information that you just learned, because you should be excited. That's the reason why you went.
Yeah.
But do not throw away your other textbooks.
No.
It's okay to put them on a shelf for a few months as you focus on that new exciting thing, because you need to. That's the only way you'll truly ingrain the information.
Sure.
But as that relationship starts to cool down, go back and look at what was on your shelf.
Yeah.
And if you still don't care to read what you had already read, then that's fine.
Yeah.
Maybe you transcended that knowledge or information.
Yeah.
Awesome. But if you go back and pick up that old textbook of information from so-and-so and you're like, there's some good stuff.
Still makes sense. Yeah.
But it goes into your new pile.
Yep.
And
absolutely.
That's A-okay.
Yeah.
And I'll continue to secretly watch Paul.
That's awesome. Maybe I'll check him out too. Saw him years ago, but haven't seen anything recent.
But that's it, right? Like, it's just because you just never know. Like, there could be something that resonates, and the rest of it is hocus pocus.
Yeah.
Awesome.
That's all the questions I have. So I just want to thank you for taking the time, Derek.
Yeah, it's cool. It was awesome to speak with somebody in the industry like yourself that also is trying to do something greater than elbow flexion. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And it's important. I think people forget that the body's the body. Yeah, we're trying to improve our physical existence in this earth, but it is controlled by something else.
yeah, yeah.
And the brain is, and the spirit and the emotional connection. If you don't elaborate on all of those things,